All right, guys, thanks for joining us today. Today's going to be a little bit different in terms of how we're approaching this community call. Usually, we're very education centric. Today, we're more so focusing on introducing Cronometer and talking about the partnership that we just squared away with Cronometer and how we believe it can add a lot of value to not only coaching inside of CoachRx, but just coaching in general and to the value that you guys are all providing your clients. But before we hop in, I just want to take a second and just intro Ashley. Everyone knows Ashley. Ashley will be demoing some things today. Ashley's our coach success manager. And then I also wanted to introduce Stephanie. So Stephanie is joining us from, I believe you said, just outside of Vancouver when I was hopping on. So she's joining us and representing Cronometer. So Stephanie, do you just want to take a second, give a quick intro and talk about who Cronometer is?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me today. Chronometer or Chronometer, depending on where you are, we're a Canadian-based company. We're located in Revelstoke, BC. If you're a skier, you may have heard of our town, just inland from Vancouver. We've been in operation for since 2012, 14 years. That's wild. And we are a nutrition tracking platform that we originally started out as consumer facing. In 2019, we developed our Pro platform, which gives you real-time visibility of your clients' diaries and their device integrations. And we're really excited to be partnering with your coaching community and showing you how this can benefit your practice.
Awesome. Can you tell us exactly how it should be pronounced? Because I thought I was correct and I was calling it chronometer for a decade, and I think I'm wrong.
So we're Canadian, so we don't want to offend anyone, right? The CEO says chronometer. Spencer says chronometer. Truly, there is no right or wrong, but I was just informed last week that we're launching a video in the UK and they did settle on chronometer. So up to your own interpretation, what you want to say.
T Tomato, tomato, I guess.
There you go.
Okay. Well, there's only one way to pronounce CoachRx. So it's yeah, we're our name's easy. Okay, so I'll be quick. Today will be pretty streamlined, just so we can get everything over to Stephanie so she can give us a demo of now I feel like self-conscious saying chronometer. And let us know what's kind of behind the hood there. But itinerary, what we're walking through today. First, we're going to talk about, I'm just going to say a couple words in terms of why we decided to partner with Cronometer. And then Ashley's going to take us through just a quick demo in terms of like what's behind the or underneath the hood in CoachRx and how we are integrated with Cronometer in a more holistic way. And then we'll pass it off for the actual demo with Stephanie. So I just wanted to hit four things in terms of why we decided to partner. Number one was reputation. So I've personally, like, I'm super biased. I've personally used the app for, gosh, probably over 10 years now. And for many years, the integrity of their food diary is what really stood out to me. Back in like the, early 2010s, 2015, 2016, there was like a big issue with food diaries, especially with other apps and how they were not very reputable. And you'd be coaching a client and they'd be like, saying I ate cooked chicken breast and there's like 15 different versions of cooked chicken breast. And, they're coming in at like 45 grams of protein and they actually ate 200. So that was like a huge issue back in the day. And Cronometer really solved that for me specifically. So I really liked how they laid out their food diary and the integrity behind that. Number two, the platform. So Stephanie will walk through and give us, a peek at what this thing actually looks like. But on the client side specifically, I found that this was a huge upside because it was just so easy to use, very self-explanatory. And the ability to track and manage was awesome on the coaches side as well, which Stephanie will hit on the pro version. Um, and then finally, the integration. Okay, so Ashley will walk through this, but it just made a lot of sense because we're actually now pulling in data directly from Cronometer. So gone are the days where you're just like, well, can you send me a food log or can you send me where your macros were? It's just like your client just has to have an account. They connect it in with CoachRx and everything just flows. The data will flow. So you can prescribe those nutrition protocols and you can prescribe those goal outs in terms of protein, carbs, fats, calories, fiber, whatever you're doing. And you actually get compliance that's going to flow directly through CoachRx based on what they're putting in their app. So the client now doesn't have to like log their food and then go to CoachRx and say like, well, this is what I logged based on what Cronometer is saying. So that was a no-brainer for us, the integration. And then the value. You guys will actually see what's underneath the hood and how you can use this on the coach side, but also how it can, uh, take some load off of your clients and tracking a little bit more easily with the gold side that Stephanie will walk through as well. So those are the main four things, right? The reputation, the platform, the integration that we have with Cronometer, and the value that can add to you, the coach. So with that, Ashley, I will fire it over to you. And if you can kind of just walk us through the CoachRx piece, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, awesome. And everybody can see my CoachRx screen? Yeah, okay, cool. All right, so we know I mean, most coaches, there's so many different ways to coach nutrition. There's very simple, and then we can get to very complex, just depending on what your client needs. So I'm going to walk through basically our health kit integration with Cronometer and how that looks inside a lifestyle calendar, as well as the daily trends that we've now incorporated. And then also how you can, if you are being a little bit more complex with your nutrition coaching, how you can create those meal plans for clients and track those through CoachRx as well. So I have a client who we have the pro version at our gym, but she's actually set up the gold version for herself prior to really us digging into like macros and things like that. So I can, with our lifestyle calendar, create these macros for our clients based on her goals specifically, what we're trying to do. And I'll come down here and show you how you can do that. But we add lifestyle. We can go to the macro calculator here. You can calculate it directly using the integrated macro calculator that we have, or you can obviously enter your own targets. You'll see, we get this question quite a bit. The calorie target is always going to be locked because this is going to be determined based on the targets that you prescribe for protein, carbs, fat, and then fiber doesn't go into those calories, but will be dictated by those three macros. Once you do that, you can then set this obviously as a recurring prescription for weekly up to 12 weeks. Now, if I go up here to where we were tracking, we can see that there's this little like green, what would we call this? Like a data line or like a graph line, a kind of squiggly line that you want to say is just showing that it's connected to her device. And so I can open this up and we can look at things that it was basically frictionless tracking for her. So she has connected Cronometer through CoachRx through her mobile app, and now this is automatically answering these results for her. So we can see like her calories were within target, but she overate on protein, which I guess I'd rather have her do that than overeat on other things. But so we can kind of dig into what this looks like. This client specifically like works in tech, and she has a lot of her team is abroad. So sometimes she has like crazy hours. And so she was coming in and before we really dug into calories, she was eating probably under 1,200 calories a day purposely. Like she was trying to lose weight. And she's like, my husband has told me that I am just an absolute and for lack of not swearing, but a not nice word. And I was like, once she kind of showed me her food logs, I was like, I can understand why. Like, you are hangry. Like, 100% you are not eating enough food. So we really started to dig into nutrition. And then when she'll come in and she'll put things like, today was a struggle. And then I can go look at food logs too and see like we underate on protein or we underate on carbs on certain days and just kind of dig into energy levels now that I can directly see like these numbers. And then getting over into the lifestyle trends from here as well, I can look at this trend data through the weeks just to see how consistent she's been. One, with tracking, two, like with her, I can compare this to maybe recovery. I can compare this to energy levels. Is it affecting sleep if we're eating too late? So there's a lot of different things that we can dig into here. And this integration has just made it a lot simpler for us to really see all of this information in one place. Um, Before I move on to like meal plan stuff, does anyone have any questions about like, has anyone been using this yet? Any like feedback that you guys have? enjoying it, not enjoying it. If you say not enjoying it, Brandon, I'm gonna remove you from the meeting. Um, yeah. Okay, so one of the things I know there are some coaches who are prescribing more specific meal plans and meal guidance for their clients and maybe aren't necessarily just focusing on macros. So there's two ways that you can provide meal plans for your clients within CoachRx. So if you are somebody who's maybe they have very specific goals, like I just always go back to like people who are preparing for some sort of like physique competition and they're literally just eating the same meal every day leading up to a comp when it comes to meal planning. So they're essentially eating the same thing every day. One thing that you can do is you can create a PDF because essentially you're just giving them meal options and meal ideas for each meal. And you can go to the client's notes and document section and then add a document here. And then you could label this like if this is only a 1 week meal plan, you could put week of 12/1 and then week of 12/8, week of 12/15. And then you could put the description here and then just make sure we toggle on show to client. And then you could upload that file here. And then this would populate in the client's document section. So then they would be able to review this meal plan that you've provided. The other way is directly within the client calendar. So under the lifestyle section, well, first in the index, you would have to go to your lifestyle RX. And I've already added one as an example, but we can see I've added breakfast meal plan right here. So you could add another one, add lifestyle. This would be under nutrition. And then I could put in lunch meal plan. Um, and then I can put this as like a yes, no. And then I can save this lifestyle. So then when I get back into a client calendar, what I can do is I can add lifestyle. I can click breakfast meal plan. And then under these instructions here, you can either, if you are giving very specific meal options, so like you're giving them, they need 50 grams of oats, they need 2 eggs plus 3 egg whites. You can be very specific there. Or maybe you're just breaking down more of like macro timing at specific meals. Maybe you want to break down the macros to like breakfast needs to be comprised of 30 grams of protein, 45 grams of carb, like whatever this is. And then you could put those here. And then you can also set this as a daily recurring. So if this is something that you're doing every day for 1 week, set that daily. And then you can, so I'm just going to put testing here so I can do this. So I'm going to hit save. And then now if I want to go in and add like a lunch one, I can find the lunch meal plan and then do the same thing. And then again, do the same thing for dinner. And it just allows you to be a little bit more specific with your clients as well.
If you don't mind, Ashley, if I jump in, yeah,
Yeah.
just with that as well, because we've talked to a lot of coaches around this idea and concept of like more passive tracking as well. So what I mean by that is like tracking without a prescription. So like bringing it back to Cronometer, right? Like if someone is on a meal plan, or maybe you're not even prescribing them anything, when you go to that lifestyle trends section, if they're using Cronometer and they're just like tracking food, it's like, hey, we have no goals. I just want you to go in and track. So a lot of us use this in onboarding, right? Like some of us say, like, hey, I want you to track 3 to 5 days, maybe a week of food without prescription. I don't want you to change anything, but I want to understand where your calories are, protein, carbs, fats, all those things. And then I want to see the quality of food that you're eating as well. You could passively track using Cronometer, and then just go to that trend screen and you could just kind of see where their averages are and kind of discern and understand, like, okay, my goal was based on all of this data that I filled out in this macro calculator. My goal was like 2,100 calories. And then like you see reality and they're at like 1,400. It's like, yeah, probably not a great idea to bump them up to that 2,100 that some calculator says is their maintenance, right? So there is this concept and idea of also passively tracking without a prescription. And I find that to be super beneficial. And a lot of coaches have mentioned that where it's like, it just kind of gives the coach a little bit more context to understand the relationship between energy, sleep, recovery, all of those things, and what they're actually eating. Obviously, the client will have to use Cronometer and track for you to actually see those things. but it's a way to, display some information without jumping right to a lifestyle prescription. So I just wanted to point that out. Ashley, it made me think of it when you walk through that.
Yeah. And I think one thing I did miss too on the going back to that is like maybe you have clients who just aren't ready for all of that tracking. We can also, in the lifestyle calendar, you can hide like carbs and fat. So maybe your sole focus is just protein. You have, I know the majority of my female clients are always under eating protein, which just always blows my mind because I'm always over on protein. Like I just don't ever understand, but it's like you can when you're creating that macro, you can focus on, so maybe even just want to focus on fiber for a couple days, or you focus on protein. You can toggle these off and it will only show those specific targets for them, and then they don't really have to worry about everything else as well. So it just kind of eases that into I mean, we're all very much on compounding habits, and so if it's easier to start with one thing and then build on that, you can do that with this as well.
Yeah, and then to Brandon's point, you could do that as well with cals. So if you're like not focusing on calories, you're just like grams of protein, coming off what Ashley said, just turn that off and your client won't even see that in CoachRx as a goal.
I just want to make sure too, we saw Daniel's question about is it possible to choose what's displayed on the dashboard? I'm not exactly sure what that was in reference to. Daniel, if you want to come off mute, feel free.
I was just questioning like if I can, when I'm in the dashboard, flip between weeks. So if I see the past week, and how do I do that?
Yeah, so you would have to click the week up here, and it's not going to show you the full like breakdown Sunday, Monday through Sunday of the week, but you'll be able to see. So, like, this is this week, you'd be able to see the average for last week.
Yeah, because it would be nice to have like the actual week, like the weekdays, and then just be able to uh, switch to past week or kind of review more in detail the past weeks.
Yeah, that's a super good point out, Daniel. We actually chatted about custom date ranges. So in that example, like if you said like, hey, I want to look at November 1st to November 7th, it'll pull up the dailies of November 1st to November 7th. So that's something that's in the works. But yeah, that would be a super beneficial add.
Cool.
Awesome.
So Sharif is asking, so after integrations, we won't need to subscribe for Cronometer. Do you want to hit that, Carl, or do you want?
Yeah, let's do this. Let's hold. Let's allow Stephanie to walk through, and then let's take all questions at the end because I think there's probably going to be some more that pop up as Stephanie walks through the platform. But I will hold that, Sharif. I'll make sure that we answer that one.
Sure, no problem. And I can answer that one right now. So Cronometer is still independent of OPEX. OPEX, sorry, I keep saying OPEX, my bad.
It
Um,
is. Nope.
uh,
It's OPEX.
Oh, it is OPEX.
Yep.
Spencer told me it was OPEX, so I'm glad we got that clarified. So you do still need to subscribe to Cronometer to gain that information and gain those insights. And in order for this to work, there is a pro subscription that we're going to introduce today that is what your clients will use as the mechanism for that data to be fed into this platform. Correct, Carl? I believe I'm delivering that in the way that it was
Yep.
constructed. Yeah,
Yeah, for
fantastic.
sure. Yep. So you have
Um,
options.
so before I get into all those details, the first thing I wanted to share, merely because I don't want to be hopping between screens once I get into the demo of the platform, but we recently introduced photo logging. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Brilliant. Okay, I'm just gonna play this video just so you can see talking on the note of passive tracking. So adding a food with our photo logging. So I've got a wrap here. A lot of ingredients are in there, obviously. Within the app, I take a photo, it's going to scan it for me. Because it is a medley of several things, it is going to take a few seconds, but I think it was important to show you what this flow looks like. Um, it's going to break down all those ingredients for you. It's estimating the quantities, and then it's adding it directly into your client's diary so that they can scroll through and see all those foods. Now I'm going to stop sharing this so that we've got a better view of this in the Cronometer platform and we can take it away from there. So And I keep saying Cronometer. So honestly, that's what I'm comfortable with. That's what I'm going to say it. You each choose your own journey here. So Cronometer, this is our professional platform. So when you have a pro subscription, which is part of this partnership, you have the ability to add and invite clients to your pro dashboard to view and manage their diaries. Adding a client is a really simple process. You can do it individually. If they happen to already have an account as well, you can just add the email address associated with their existing account, and it will send them a notification asking for permission for you to share their diary with them. Alternatively, if you have a lot of clients that you'd like to onboard at one time, we do have a CSV template that you can use to add everybody at once. It's a very seamless process. They receive an email, which prompts them to download the app. And then from there, they'll log in to the platform and they'll be able to start tracking their foods. So hopping into a diary that has some data in it. So for those who haven't seen the platform before, this is a highly detailed platform. So you have the ability for your clients to track foods and just again, speaking on this passive tracking concept. So it's a very common use case that Carl described. We work with clinicians, dietitians, hospitals, all kinds of different professionals utilizing this platform. And it's very common to have a 24-hour or a 3-day dietary intake so that you can get an understanding of where your clients are at so that you can help them work towards their goals. With the photo logging feature, I was skeptic at first. Carl really just spoke to our reputation at the beginning of this call. We were not ready to dive into a photo logging product until we knew that it was actually going to be accurate. We only use verified and accurate data in this platform. We don't use user submitted data. It has to be verified by our team to ensure that everything in here is going to be correct. Because what's the point of tracking if you're just putting in fake information? So that photo logging feature, I have seen a dramatic increase in adoption by clients because all they have to do now is take a photo of their food. Before it was somewhat detailed, and it's still a great way to do it. And some people do prefer to do this. You can search for foods manually, like chicken breast, which was mentioned before. And you can manually add those ingredients. You can see that we have very comprehensive nutrition data. We have up to 88 listed nutrients in this specific example, and you can add them all to the diary in that manual way. With the photo logging feature, it's going to make it even quicker and easier for your clients so that you can gain that data really quickly and get an idea of where they're at. Exercise can also be logged in this platform. We also have device integrations for all of the big players, Apple Health, Garmin, I wear an Oura Ring, so that all that data can also be synced into the Cronometer diary so that your clients can visualize that data and you can see it as well as the coach. Biometrics can also be tracked in here. Now, again, I know a lot of these features are complementary to what exists in your platform, but I'm just highlighting what all these are in the widget. So everything that you see here is what your clients will see on their end as well. And then getting into the targets and profiles, specifically the information that's going to be pulling over into OPEX. This is where you can set up all of your profile details for your clients. So set their targets, set it up when they first are invited to the platform. You can add in their weight goals. There's so many different advanced settings in here for energy calculations. So depending on what the specific goals are that you're working on with your clients, you can customize all of these. You can also specify how you're going to be tracking carbs. If you want to add a weight goal in here, you can as well, and that will help visualize and track their progress over time. In here, again, I do feel like it's commonplace. A lot of clients are probably going to be wearing activity trackers. So in that case, syncing a tracker will just override any of these, but you can also set their baseline activity settings if you want to do that for them as well. Someone mentioned before about customizing what clients can see, or maybe I misunderstood that question, but I do want to highlight in here depending on the client you're working with, sometimes those that are new to nutrition, this is really overwhelming because there's so much information in here because we're data nerds. But you can scale this down to dictate what is visible to them on their end so that when in the app, when they're invited to the platform, they only see what's pertinent information to them. So I've seen this minimized down to as simple as just carbs, fat, and protein. But you can have all the detailed nutrients in there for them as they track if you want to have that. Regardless of what you dictate as what's visible to them on their end, you'll be able to see all data reported in the reports that I'll dive into shortly. So again, just showing all these. And again, everything will default to the DRIs. However, you have the option to go in and customize anything that you need to by just toggling on this and then modifying whatever those values might be for your client's goals. The profile section, when the invite is first sent to their clients, you've got the option to fill this basic profile information in yourself, or you can dictate for them to complete it upon receipt of the invitation. So it makes it a really quick and easy, seamless onboarding process. I'll also highlight later how when they first are added to your platform, your logo will pop up when they log into Cronometer as well, which is a nice little value add. Heading back into the diary. So this is where you would be checking all the time, and this is what's integrating into OPEX. But this is the best way for you to look back. You can scan through the diary. Anything that's orange is where data has been input by your clients. You also have a few other fun features in here too. So your clients, again, there was mention of a client, saying she had a bad day that day. They can add specific notes into the Cronometer diary to give more insight into what was going on with them that day. You can also use it as a coach to provide feedback and provide any information in there as well. You'll also see that there's this camera icon. You can use, you can upload and share photos too. So I've seen that used in a lot of different contexts. Someone once uploaded, how to complete a stretching exercise. Another time it was like sharing a piece of gym equipment. So they're just all kinds of bizarre examples that you see in there, but it is like a great way to communicate. Another piece too is we do have a messaging feature within the app. So you have the ability to direct message clients within Cronometer too, if you want to utilize that feature. If you're just using it for dietary intake and then syncing to OPEX, obviously turn that off. Don't use it as your primary mechanism for communication, but I'm just letting you know that it is in there. For those that are working with more advanced athletes, we also have a macro scheduler. So if you need to rotate through what their targets are day to day, depending on their activities, you can add templates to, wrong thing. You can add templates so that these can be applied to different days of the week to set different goals for them on a rolling basis. There we go. Sorry, I had faces in my way. And then hopping into this nutrition report, because I do feel like this is the most, like, when it comes to tracking nutrition, I mean, how many people here track their nutrition every day? It can be time consuming, it can be a grind. Other people absolutely love it. Exactly. I'm so glad that you raised your hand, Candice, because sometimes I never know who's in the crowd. So for those that are new to this concept, adherence is going to be your biggest challenge. And with the photo logging feature and the simplicity of the data entry and the wearables integration, it does make it really easy for those motivated clients. And then for you to get the most out of that data that they're entering, we have the nutrition report. So this allows you to, there was sort of a question touching on this in the OPEX platform, but you can print detailed reports to summarize specific time periods to see what's going on in that specific time frame. So if I just go for the last 7 days, you can include as much or as little information in here. And this is also a great tool if you're sharing information between a team. So if you're working with another practitioner, it's like the source of truth for your client that you're generating with this document. When you print it, it will go to a PDF and it can be co-branded to your business when you upload your logo and your profile. In this instance, I've used an anonymized profile, but in theory, this would list your client's name. And this is going to show, oh, whoopsies, we didn't put in the right dates. Apologies. I'm just going to modify this. Print the report. We'll go for today. Oh, it's because I hit completed days. My bad. Here we go. All days. Pointing this out just because it can be helpful sometimes. So I had someone recently who they had their client tracking every day, but they only wanted to see what they ate on a Tuesday, a Wednesday, and a Thursday. So there's ways to mark days as complete so that you're pulling that information. I can show you how that feature works in a moment. So we're just going to go all days for the last 7 days. There we go. Print report. That's better. So here we go. We've got a very detailed report summary that's going to provide you the overview of all their nutrition. We have these nutrition scores that help people think more holistically about their health as well. So there's a lot of information on our website about how these scores are comprised, but I know that people become really motivated when they know that they're like hitting their bone health targets and their metabolism support. It's a great way to visualize all those. highlighted nutrients. So again, if you have those clients who are focusing on specific goals, or in the instance of like, say you just want fat, carbs, and protein front of mind, you can customize this. So that's the only thing that's showing up at the top of the diary and in the report. And then as you scroll down, you're going to see a breakdown of all their targets, all their dietary intake for that period, so that this can serve as like your baseline documentation. And then as a check-in 2 or 3 weeks down the track, this is how you measure progress. And this is how you show your value as a coach and how you're helping them work towards their goals with the coaching you're providing. In instances where they've exceeded a target, you can mouse over to see the foods that are contributing to these values in the web version. Again, your clients do have the ability to access this as well from the app that they're utilizing, but it is just a little bit bigger, nicer experience in the web version for yourselves as coaches. I do feel like I've been talking a lot and I haven't been looking at the chat. Are there any questions? Should I pause for a moment?
I had one question for us. So when you said that, like when going back to adding a client, when you somebody who has already purchased the gold, but let's say for it specifically, like I use the pro and they use the gold, but I put in their email to ask them to share their log with us. I know there's like with pricing and stuff, like we get so many clients, and then after that, it's like however much per client per month extra. Would that count towards that pricing if they share their log with you, even though they've purchased gold on their own?
Absolutely. So let's talk about that. So if you, and just scaling it back even further for those who aren't familiar with our platform and Pro and how it works. So Pro starts at $40 per month and includes 10 client spaces, which are these here. So each client that's listed here contributes to those spaces. Subsequent spaces beyond 10 are charged at $2.50 per month. Now, to put this into context, when you add them onto your list, they receive the premium version of our app, which is Gold, which has the photo logging and all these advanced reporting features. If they were to go out and purchase that themselves directly from us or from Apple, it's $12 a month. So you're getting it at $2.50, and you're getting visualization of their data. So it is an amazing deal. And a lot of coaches, sometimes they will build a cost into their services. Sometimes they'll even add a markup, because at the end of the day, it's still a fantastic add-on, and it's way cheaper than what the clients would get paying for it themselves. In the example you just described, if you happen to have a client who's already purchased gold and you add them onto our pro list, the system can't intuitively identify that, because more likely than not, they've purchased it through the Apple Store or Google Play. That being said, if you do have some overlap there, or occasionally a client might get confused and they think they have to purchase the gold when you tell them that they're using Cronometer, just email our support team, support@cronometer.com, and they'll be happy to organize a refund so that there isn't double payment of that. But it is something you have to bring to our attention. The system won't intuitively identify that necessarily.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Got
Can
this.
you
Sorry
elaborate
to
a little bit with Brandon's question?
Sorry, Candace. I just, not to belabor that one point, but I just want to make sure there's clarity around that, Stephanie. So in that instance where a refund is had, the coach will always have to pay to have that client on their client list. Like the coach won't get that refund because the client is now
Correct.
on their, is that correct? Okay.
Correct. It's just in the instance where the client has paid directly to us. That's not the intention of this. We want them to go through you. So if they happen to have paid, then we can contact us and we can organize for a refund for sure.
Awesome.
Something to mention on that note too is, for the duration that you have clients listed on this pro dashboard, that's when they're receiving the gold upgrade. Now, say you end working with a client, or say they're taking a break. When you go into them, you can remove the client. And I always highlight this because this doesn't delete their data. It's still associated with the email address that they hold. They can even continue to track. It's just going to revert to the free version of our app, which doesn't have photo logging, does not have the advanced reporting features, and will have ads within the experience. The data that's available to them is still the same, and they can still sync devices. It's just not as premium of an experience. I see a question in the chat from Brandon. Any thoughts on business account, multiple coach accounts with multiple client accounts? So this comes up a lot, and this is what my sales team in-house handles. So currently, the way that it's structured is that each pro account is associated with a single email address and password. You can have up to 3 simultaneous logins into the Pro dashboard if you are working within a team of coaches. You can have an unlimited number of clients added to a professional list. You can also have the same client listed on multiple Pro accounts. It is going to contribute to your billable space in that instance. So there is a business we work really closely with. She wouldn't mind me mentioning the vegan gym. They have multiple coach accounts with large coach volumes. So we have just manual invoicing for them that we provide. So if you're working in like a really high volume use case, you have coaches underneath you, and you prefer a single invoice, we can arrange that for you. So you can just reach out to our sales team. Again, it just comes down to preference. Some businesses prefer each coach to have their own individual pro account and manage it that way. Some coaches share, some businesses need multiple. We don't currently have the mechanism to have like a managed account where there's, say, like a lead administrator and then coaches beneath. I'd love to see that in the future, but it's more of a stay tuned type of situation. I hope that answers your question. I've
Stephanie, just to add to that, and I don't know if this is exactly what you were saying, but how we've managed that when we've had like, 100 people in our pro account is we just created multiple client groups, and that client group would be the coach's name. So if Ashley was one of our coaches, Ashley Brownell would be a group, and then Carl Hardwick would be another group. And then we just place the clients underneath that group. So any coach could go in and have full visibility into all the clients that are in there, but they know that, the 5 clients that are underneath their group are their clients. So that's how we've managed that organization. I don't know if others have used that as well, Stephanie.
Absolutely, Carl, and that's really helpful. And that was exactly where I was going. So you read my mind.
Okay.
So yes, you can create those client groups. Again, it just comes down to the business. Like there are some businesses that have 6 coaches, and it's simply not ideal for the system to have that many people logged in at the same time. So they will use the group option, but other times they'll have multiple email accounts. So if you have any questions about a high volume use case, again, feel free to reach out to our team. A couple of fun, like you can also, so like here's like you can drag and drop clients too. So say someone starts working with a different coach, there's different things that you can do there as well. On the topic of the account too, I'd like to just highlight a couple things in here as well in the account settings. So this is where you can add your business name and add your logo as well. So you can pop that in, and again, it will pop up when your clients first log into the app. This is where you can enable your 2-factor authentication. So again, if you've got coaches sharing accounts, just be aware of these little security measures that are in place and how that might work in a scaled setting. This is also where you would disable messaging if you don't want that feature on. And this is where you update your billing information. I'm not totally sure if there would be in this crowd, but if anyone here is HIPAA compliant, we are a self-certified HIPAA compliant entity. So again, going back to that reputation, we don't sell or share any data to third parties. This is a product that is used in clinical use cases, so it is a safe place for your clients to store their data. If you are HIPAA compliant, you can request a BAA from us, and we'll send that to you. If you don't know what that is, it's because it doesn't apply to you, so don't worry about it. We also have a listing option within our platform. So you can list your coaching services, and they will display in our public directory that can be searched and viewed by other Cronometer users. We have 14 million signups year to date. So that's just another service that's part of the professional subscription, which is a nice add as well. Other things that come up, obviously, are support. Adding your clients to a new platform like this, they're always going to have questions, and we want to field those questions for you. We don't want Cronometer to become something that is complicated and in depth and requires you to provide a lot of hand-holding. The idea is that you add them to your pro list, they're tracking, but if anything comes up and they have questions, they can email our in-house support team, they can consult our user manual, and we have dozens and dozens of video tutorials that can help them familiarize themselves with the app. We also have super active forums so that they can chat with other users too. So there's a lot of resources in place there. Carl, I do want to check in with you because I know that you have a recipe, you have meal planning, and you have these things. Do you use the custom recipes feature in Cronometer?
No, we were actually talking about that before the call. I'd love for you to hit that because I'm actually not sure if that's a typical like here's a meal, you plug in these recipes, you save it, and then you can easily add that, or if that's like a meal plan feature. I wasn't sure about that. So interested to
Amazing.
learn more.
Okay, happy to touch on this. So we have custom recipes. So the way that this is constructed is that it's for you to essentially build your recipe, your library of recipes that you can then easily share with your clients. So using just a really simple example here, just to give you guys some insight on what it might be like. Let's just use like a chia oatmeal. So you can create these recipes within the platform by manually adding the ingredients. You can create a weight-based or volume-based recipe. You'll note that the database that's used is the NCC. I didn't speak to our sources, but obviously with a large user base in the States. So we have the USDA database. We have the NCC, which is a database curated by the University of Minnesota. It's what allows us to track up to 88 micronutrients within the platform. So when you're creating recipes, we always encourage you to use the NCC entries if you can find them, which you normally can, because that's just going to give you the most comprehensive nutrient information for the recipe. So you add the ingredients in like this, it'll bring it up, you search them and then add them into the recipe. And then what'll happen is it will start to build out below a nutrition facts label, which will summarize all that information. We've got European on here, we'll go to American, so that looks more familiar. It's going to summarize all this information for you. And then as you scroll down, you're going to see the full summary of the recipe. From there, you can share it with your clients. And you can configure your recipe library so that all recipes are automatically sharing with clients, or you can dictate which clients use which recipes. When they go to add foods into their diary, we'll hop back over to this one. When they go to add a food, all of the recipes that you have shared with them are going to appear in the custom tab. I think I'm having some internet issues here. Apologies, one sec. There we go. Okay, so all the recipes that are from the recipe library are going to show up here. So then I can easily select them as a client, I can view them, and I can add them into the diary so that that information and those detailed recipes that you're sharing with them are then being accurately tracked in Cronometer. I'll stop there since Carly, you've never seen this before. Do you have any questions about it?
So yeah, I was familiar with this. I just wasn't sure if this is what you were referring to, but I wasn't
Okay.
familiar. I wasn't familiar that you could share those recipes across your account. So I think Ashley, that's what you were mentioning earlier. So yeah, that's really cool. I do have a question on that. Is there a way to organize those? Maybe like into folders or into like, I don't know, macro ratios or something like that, or maybe you just get really smart with the titling of those recipes, maybe?
That would be the best way that you could do it. There's so much more that we could do with this feature, and it's sort of on the back burner. But yes, getting really sophisticated with your naming conventions would be the best way to manage that. And like you can copy recipes, and there's a lot of like little tricks in there that you can do. I'm a little hesitant to go into how this can be used as a meal planning option, but I can just briefly touch on it. So if you're making your recipes in here, there are professionals that will use this as a planning tool. So what they'll do is they'll go into days in advance within the diary, and then they'll add the recipes into the diary so that that's what the client is referencing as how to manage their meals and how to plan ahead. And then as they consume those recipes and they complete the day, I touched on this in the report, they can then mark the day complete. And then that's how the coach knows that they fulfilled that meal plan for the day.
Awesome.
Yeah. So there's a few different ways you can utilize that feature. I'm conscious of time. There's a couple other features I'll share in here. So again, a lot of complementary features here, but we have a snapshot section so that clients can easily and quickly upload their snapshots in here too. We have an internal notes section as well. So these are client notes that are only visible to you as the coach, that you can record about different consults or just to have things front of mind when you're hopping into the pro dashboard. Couple other things too with the diary settings. So you have full control over what this diary looks like for your clients. So you can go in and you can modify what you want things to look like for them. If you want them to track hydration, great. If you don't want the water tracking feature on, you can turn it off. Same with the diary. So you could dictate, again, we'll keep it with calories. You guys aren't in the UK, but you can change it to kilojoules if that came up. We've got timestamps enabled in the diary too, so you can get really granular, detailed information. Diary groups. I love this. So if you've got someone, we're talking about a client who's eating 1,100 calories a day, they're not eating enough. Maybe they need reminders and maybe they need like small meals broken up for them throughout the day. You can change the names of these to set it up to your client's routine so they are really clear about what they're supposed to eat. And then they can even have reminders enabled on the mobile so that it reminds them at 9 a.m. that they need to exercise or reminds them at 10 that they need to eat breakfast. So you can get really sophisticated in that. Those nutrition scores that we saw earlier on the report, those can be turned off if you don't want them in the diary. There's also a few others here that weren't originally displayed. So like we have a women's health score, a men's health score, plant-based diet. There's a lot of interesting information in there that you can utilize. And then that highlighted nutrient section I spoke to before, if you wanted to reduce this to only a few, you just change it to none in the top bar and then select the nutrients that you want them to see at the top of the diary. Again, there's so much in here. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Stephanie. While we're here, I said a quick question.
Sure.
Is there any way um, at the pro level to turn off net carbs? That's an issue that I've seen in the past where a lot of coaches have forgotten to turn that off and they're not tracking net carbs. And you had to like go like client by client and turn each one off. Is there any way to?
So all the actions per client are going to be per client. There's no way
Okay.
to enable something as a blanket setting for all clients at this time. But what you're speaking about would be found in the targets and profile. And then if you want to turn off net carbs, you'd go total carbs over here. Just change that setting.
I hate when people do this in a public setting. Like, oh, it would be nice if, but that would be a really good feature for coaches that, like, across their entire client base, they don't track net carbs because I've seen a lot of coaches forget that. And they're like, what the heck is going on? And it's because they had net carbs turned on by default.
Absolutely. Which leads me into I'm conscious of the time here. I do have another meeting at the top of the hour, but I wanted to speak to what's coming and feature requests like that. So we do have Pro on mobile coming out as well. So currently you can't access the Pro dashboard from mobile. And when I say the Pro dashboard, I'm speaking to the ability to view and manage your clients. Obviously, your clients can use the personal tracking app, and you can even use it as the coach. But we have mobile coming. So it's going to be a lot quicker and easier for you to check in on clients from your mobile phone. And as part of all the infrastructure that's being built for that, I hope, Carl, it will eventually lead to the ability to fulfill bulk actions similar to the one that you're talking about. And so that is scheduled to come out in the new year, date TBA, but that's another nice feature that's coming out. So it's easier for you to manage clients on the go.
Awesome.
Yeah. Were there any other questions?
Brandon had one. He said he hasn't pursued the tutorials. Do you have tutorials to address the knowledge gap on clients actually learning gold standards of how to weigh and measure, manage expectations on margins of error, labeling, cooking, digestion, etc.?
Well, I'm just reading it now. The cognitive learning gold standards on that way. We do have some blog articles about accurately measuring your food and how to track correctly. As far as actual tutorials, though, I can't say that that's been a specific focus for it, but I appreciate that feedback and I do see how that could be useful to have. So I will provide that to our socials team for consideration. But yeah, as far as, like this is the other thing too, like we are so engaged with our users and we love to hear from coaches as well. Pro, believe it or not, is not actively advertised. It's very much a word of mouth scene. And we're with the Pro mobile introduction, we will be putting it out there in the wild, but we would love to hear from coaches with thoughts like that. So if there's something you want to see, send it to support@cronometer.com. If something isn't working for you, like Carl, like what you just mentioned about, the total carb setting, like that's really valuable for us to hear. And it's not to say it can't be changed. So yeah, that's really helpful. Thank you.
Cool.
All right. Well, concluding, so at present, with our new partnership, there is a co-branded landing page for OPEX. All coaches are entitled to a free 30-day trial. when they sign up so that you can familiarize yourself with Pro and see if it's the right setting for you. As part of that trial, you get access to 10 client spaces. So you can add your clients, you can start to see what the integration is like, and get familiar with it, and reach out to our support team if there's any questions. And hopefully it adds value to your practice.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Stephanie. That was very useful. That was one of the better demos I've seen.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. I am going to run. I'm really excited to see this recording. So yeah, thanks so much for having me. And I'm excited to see where this goes.
All right.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Yeah.
Are you flipping back to our slides, Carol? Thank you. Oh, will you go back one? I just added another one in there for you. I know Stephanie mentioned that we had the partnership landing page. I also dropped the link in the chat for you guys to see. Again, just so you know, those offers are 30% off for clients on the gold side if you choose to go that route, as well as a 30-day free trial of Cronometer Pro. Carl did push pretty hard on them to do something bigger on the Pro, and I think they're working through some like technical difficulties on how to do that, but we will keep pushing for you guys. Some more to come there. We also, again, are very excited about this partnership, but there are other integrations for clients to use if they prefer a different tracking app. I also mentioned in response to Sharif's comment that if there is a nutrition tracking app that is not already in the integrations list, you can connect any app to Apple Health and then allow Apple Health to do the data population. It's not as rapid as the direct integrations that we have, but it does work and it will populate that data for you. So consider that. And then, of course, just as a reminder, we are ending our Black Friday offer on Friday, a week later. So it's extended for those of you that are not currently inside CoachRx. So make sure you take advantage of that opportunity. We only do this deal once a year, 30% off your first 3 months. Or if you are a current CoachRx user and you want to upgrade to annual, which already has a discount, there is an additional discount for Black Friday as well. So make sure you take advantage of that. And then lastly, with Black Friday, we do have offers on all OPEX products. So if you're interested in the OPEX method, which we're currently in week 7 of the first cohort that we've gone through that, the next cohort will be starting January 13th. We have a discount on that. And then, Carl, if you go one more slide, I have these laid out. But the last offer is, of course, on LearnerX. 50% off your annual LearnerX subscription. Newly added to LearnerX is the Frameworks podcast, as well as Marketing for Fitness Coaches podcast. There will be exclusive episodes to LearnerX coming next year that are for both of those shows, as well as some new classes. So that's all of the marketing stuff I needed to cover. We can just open for Q&A now.
I just,
Yeah. Do you guys have any thoughts or questions or anything?
Carl, do you mind if I hit on the net carbs and total carb thing really fast?
No, yeah, go ahead.
Just because we have seen it, and I don't know if it's something that we are fixing with the integration. So if you have clients who are using whether it's MyFitnessPal, any sort of macro tracking, if you ever see any discrepancies between the carbs, like based on they're sending you a food log and it says it's like 150 carbs, but then they send you look in CoachRx and you see maybe it's 200 carbs and there's a discrepancy there, check to make sure that they don't have net carbs tracked on, because CoachRx is only collecting total carbs. So if you do see that discrepancy, it's usually a small amount in the carbs, and it's because they have that net carb setting on. So
I'm still waiting for a convincing case as to why someone tracks net carbs. I'm waiting. If you guys have any insights on that.
isn't that how they just sell like protein bars and stuff? It's like only has one net carb.
It's like 88 grams of
Sugar,
fiber through sugar alcohols. Removes all carbs. Awesome. Yeah, guys, take advantage. Play with the Pro, or even shoot your clients that link if you just want your clients to sign up for gold, and they'll get 30% off. To each his own in terms of how you guys want to play it. Is anyone using Cronometer right now? Brandon, I know you are. Is anyone else using Cronometer? What are you guys using? Like or like what are you using, or what are you telling your clients to use? MyFitnessPal. Macros first. Awesome. Yeah.
Sorry, I was muted. There's a question in the chat about CoachRx Pro. It's not necessarily CoachRx Pro. I think you're referring to the coaching interface on the mobile app. If you're not aware that that exists, it does exist. You just need to be logged in with your account to be able to, with your coaching account to be able to toggle back and forth. So there are some features in there. And I believe more recently we've released additional capabilities, or that's coming. Do you want to speak to that, Carl?
Yeah, is that what you mean, Sharif, by Pro Mobile?
I think it was
Or who was
somebody.
that asked that?
Um,
Are they still on the call? Oh yeah.
yeah,
Um, well, okay. So yeah, if you're talking about a coach app, yeah, you just have to be signed in like Candace mentioned and just go to settings and go to coach account. Um, right now it's a really useful communication app or review app. Or to like if you guys are actually working with clients in person to like actually take them through and you're marking their sets, reps, weights, whatever the case is. We're in beta. I know a number of you guys are actually betaing this. Is that a thing? Using the swapping exercise feature. So like inside of actually training, you can swap out exercises right in the app. And then we will be in beta very soon in actually creating exercises and creating workouts and editing workouts in the app as well. Really careful and like being super excited about like creating workouts in the app because that seems like a miserable workflow. But I get like if you're on the go, just to like quickly create a workout or edit a workout, that could be super beneficial. Um, but I'm always like really hesitant. I'm like, oh yeah, everyone should be pulling out their phone and creating workouts. Just seems very inefficient. But yeah, those will be launched very soon. Cool. Wrap it up there.
And if there are specific features that you have in mind or requests, I just dropped the link to our changelog, which also houses the feature request form. We do review those on a regular basis, and they do inform like our development roadmap. So please share feature requests. I know ambassadors, you guys are in Slack and sharing those often, but if you if you're not part of the ambassador program, please drop them on that link that I dropped because we want to make sure we have all the features that y'all want.
Yeah, really cool unannounced feature we just pushed today, um, where you guys can now see like when you go over client avatars, you'll see hover states. Um, so it's an interesting feature with like rings around your client avatar. So it essentially tells you what your client needs based on those ring colors. So if you see blue, that means that their exercise is due. If you see purple, that would be their consultations due. And then you have like all of the information on like if you have like any trending data or anything like that. And then you have the ability to go to their calendar or message them or go to their lifestyle trends uh, screen or whatever the case is. And then over the next couple of days, we're going to integrate tasks in that workflow as well. So you can really easily create tasks from anywhere in the app. So you don't always have to go back to the dashboard. So we haven't announced that one yet, but that one just went this morning. So I think that'll be useful just to get a little bit more context and information about the client, no matter where you're viewing their profile, whether it's in the client list, the activity feed, the needs attention place, touch points, wherever.
Carl keeps sneaking things in on the roadmap, guys.
How
it's making
about
it
what if we did this? What about this?
makes it hard for us to keep up, Candace.
I know, agree. But it's all for the love of serving you guys, so we're excited about it. Thanks for joining today, guys. I know this was a more intimate group, but I'll share the recording with everyone and we'll get a blog together to recap everything. But we appreciate you joining live.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Bye, guys.